Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about what you need to do when your succulent starts to do this. This is a type of Echeveria. It's an Echeveria gibiflora. Bought it from IKEA. The label is still on the nursery pot. I've not taken it out of its original nursery pot. So a really nice plant with purple leaves with a kind of fluorescent edge around each of the leaves. Really interesting. So it's a sun-loving plant. I have it on my west-facing windowsill in my bedroom, so it gets lots of afternoon sun. Normally when you purchase a plant like this from IKEA or from any other store, it's normally in a compact shape. The leaves will be at the base of the plant, just on top of the soil. But as it gets a little bit older, as it starts to grow taller, puts out new leaves at the top, and then it starts to shed the lower leaves as it gets older, so you just want to pick those off. But you end up with a leggy looking plant with a single tall stalk and the leaves on the top, so it looks a bit top heavy. So in this video I'm going to show you how you can correct this. So guys, what we're effectively doing is propagating this succulent by making a cut on the stalk just there, replanting that. So we're propagating this, and then we're not going to chuck this out because hopefully within a few weeks we should start to see some new plants sprout from the base here. So we should end up with 2 plants out of 1. Succulents are generally really easy to propagate. Like I say, once you make the cut and plant it in a suitable soil and look after it, it should develop roots, really easy to develop roots. So the tools we're going to need is obviously a nice healthy plant, some nice clean snippers. I've got a soil mix here. I've got potting soil with quite a lot of perlite and a few other chunky bits just to make it a really nice, well-draining soil. Succulents don't like to have wet feet, so just make sure it's a really well-draining soil so that the soil can dry out in between watering and the roots don't, well, you reduce the risk of having rotten roots. And obviously you need a nice pot to put it in. So really simple process. All we need to do, I'll just put those at the back, is make a cut just above the base where the soil line is. So there's one long stalk on an Echeveria. Just make a nice clean cut like so. So we're left with that from the plant. Like I say, don't chuck this out because there's still a plant in here with roots in the soil. So hopefully new plants are going to start developing from here, maybe 1 or 2. So we'll keep that on my west-facing window where it gets lots of sun. I'll look after it, check on the watering so it's not drying out too much. So I'll put that to one side for the time being. So this is essentially the plant that we're going to be propagating. When you're replanting or propagating an Echeveria, then try not to touch the leaves because as you can see where I've touched the leaves myself, it does leave a mark. And sometimes that can develop into rot, so you can start to lose a few leaves. So just be careful when you're dealing with the Echeveria. You don't want to mark the kind of powdery coating that's often on these plants. So like I say, that's the cutting. We can put that aside for the time being. I've got my pot here and I've got my potting soil, really chunky soil, like I say, lots of perlite. I'm just going to fill this up. This is quite a moist potting mix. The perlite I put in here was moistened. It was from a propagation box, so I won't need to water it. It's not wet or anything, just feels slightly damp to the touch, which is fine. So we're going to fill this up like so. So we filled that up. Just want to make a hole down the center. And you don't really want to do anything with that. You can dip it in rooting powder if you want, but these are really easy to grow roots. So I'm just going to stick it directly in. That hole might have been a bit too deep for the size of the stalk. So it's quite tricky to place without touching the leaves, but I think I'm going to have to. use my snippers to gently press this down into the soil, being careful not to cut the head off or anything. So that is in, might need to just, so hopefully that is in. I might just try and get in there a little bit. I've got my pot filled up and I've just had to take off a few of these leaves from the base to get it to fit in. They're a bit too low hanging, but we can propagate these and I'll show you what we need to do with these. So I'm just going to put a bit more soil in and then just press your Echeveria as gently as possible into the soil. I think that looks quite good. You want good contact with that stalk in the soil. So there you have it. That does not look so leggy anymore. So that will grow roots and become a new plant. So that's a propagated plant. Like I say, we've got this one here that should continue to grow and develop new plants. And then, like I say, I've taken off these leaves, and what we can do with these is propagate them. I'm going to show you how. So I've got a Tupperware box here. I'm just going to fill it with a light layer of soil, like so. And all we need to do with these is just put the cut end into the end of the soil like so. And that should develop roots quite easily. So we can put in a few of these into here. You just want the ends covered, so you don't want the whole leaf covered. And there you have it. I'm not going to add any water to that because the soil is already quite damp, but I'm just going to place that in a bright location out of direct sunlight. And then in a few weeks, these should develop roots and then develop mini plants that would grow on to be large echeverias like that one. So I should be getting 6 new plants out of that little tray. So there you have it, guys. What you should do with a leggy echeveria. I've cut the plant from its existing root base. I've not chucked that out. I'm going to place that in a sunny spot and should develop new plants. I'll put the cut plant into new soil, that will develop roots, and then that will start to grow and eventually it will become leggy like that did, and we'll do the same process and we'll have another plant. And then I took off the leaves off that plant to make room for the plant to fit into that pot, and hopefully the result of that will be 6 new plants. So I'll check in on these guys after a few weeks. I'll probably do an update video on that and on this, show you how these are doing. So subscribe to the channel if you want to be notified when that comes out. If you like the video, guys, if you found this useful, then please hit the like button. If you have any questions, then leave it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.